The stars shone like cold diamonds over the void of space. Ships from 100 worlds drifted around the galactic nexus, a massive space station that hung at the heart of the galaxy. It was a place older than most civilizations, a place where the oldest races came to negotiate, compete, and sometimes to dominate. The air was thick with tension. Every species had a story, a pride, and a secret they would not share. And then the humans arrived. Their ships were small, almost laughable compared to the massive dreadnoughts of the Xyler, the glittering crystal-armored vessels of the Athari, or the bioengineered fleets of the Elthari. But the humans' flag, bright, white and red, a simple circle with a line through it, fluttered proudly against the blackness of space. Elders of the galaxy scoffed. "They are young," hissed the Xyler ambassador, his 4 eyes narrowing. They barely left their home system before attempting to step into the council. Elthari diplomats, whose skin shimmered with the light of their home suns, murmured among themselves. "Primitive. They will crumble under the weight of galactic politics. Why even allow them near the chambers?" Inside the council hall, humans stood quietly. Captain Elena Vargas, their leader, felt the weight of 1,000 skeptical gazes. She straightened her back, her fingers brushing the cold metal of her communicator. "We come in peace," she said, her voice steady. "But make no mistake, we will be heard." The doors opened wider, revealing the Grand Arbiter, a being whose presence alone made the chamber hum with power. Its form was incomprehensible, like liquid glass folding over itself, but its voice was sharp and resonant. "Humans," it said, every syllable slicing the air, "you are young. You are small. Why do you dare to step into the affairs of empires?" Elena met its gaze. "Because we have the right. Because we survived when many would have fallen. Because we adapt and because we learn faster than any race in this hall." A murmur ran through the room. The old races laughed softly at first. Then a pause, a ripple of unease. The humans were not trembling. They were not bowing. They were standing, calm, confident, and, most importantly, unafraid. The council began with minor debates. The humans listened, asked questions, and sometimes interrupted, not with rudeness but with precision. They questioned trade laws, security protocols, and resource allocations, each query exposing gaps that other races had long ignored. By the end of the first day, whispers had spread. The humans were not naive, they were sharp. Dangerous. But that was only the beginning. Within weeks, reports arrived from border systems. Raiders and unknown fleets were moving faster than expected, attacking colonies and trade lines. The established empires struggled to respond. Star maps became battlefields and the galaxy's oldest fleets faltered. Humans, however, thrived. Using designs stolen and adapted from older races, they created hybrid ships that combined speed, durability, and firepower in ways no one predicted. Their first engagement against the Elthari raiders was brief but shocking. A dozen human frigates destroyed a squadron twice their size, using tactics that made even veteran admirals reconsider everything they knew about warfare. From orbiting a sapphire blue planet, Commander Lee spoke to the humans' small fleet. "They think they can outgun us," he said, voice calm over the comlink. "But they cannot outthink us. Position, timing, deception, we have it all. Remember, intelligence is stronger than numbers." The aliens were not ready. The Xyler fleets, confident in their ancient protocols, were routed by human strategies that relied on improvisation, unpredictability, and brutal precision. The Athari, who prided themselves on centuries of telepathic coordination, were stunned when humans turned that advantage into a liability, luring them into ambushes. Galactic news feeds were filled with panic. How can a single human system resist entire fleets? Are they even a human? We have underestimated them. And yet, humans remained humble, strategic, and united. They knew they had been underestimated and they knew they would use it. Captain Elena addressed the council again, this time not in defense but in warning. The galaxy believes in its old ways, its old powers, and its old rules. They think they are untouchable. But the universe does not care for age or size. It respects adaptability, intelligence, and courage. We are not here to ask permission. We are here to survive and to lead. A silence fell over the council hall, deeper than any had felt before. Even the oldest races paused. Even the Grand Arbiter, who had witnessed civilizations rise and fall like sparks in the void, tilted its form slightly, as if acknowledging a new force in the galaxy. That night, on the bridge of the human flagship Resolute, Elena looked out at the stars. Each one was a world waiting to test them, to challenge them. The galaxy thought it had underestimated humans. Soon they would learn the cost of that mistake. Because humans had arrived, not just to participate in the council but to redefine it. And somewhere in the void, ancient empires shivered. The galaxy had not seen humans fight like this before. Reports reached the council that entire fleets had been destroyed by a force so small, it was almost invisible until it struck. Yet the humans did not celebrate. They did not gloat. They prepared. From the Resolute, Captain Elena Vargas studied the star charts. She was no longer just a diplomat, she was now a strategist, a tactician in a war that the galaxy had not yet understood. They assume brute strength wins battles, she said quietly. We know it does not. Position, psychology, unpredictability, these are weapons older than any fleet. Her chief officer, Lieutenant Raj Malik, leaned over the hollow table. Intelligence reports show the Xylar are regrouping. They're sending a second wave with larger cruisers. And the Athari, he paused, swallowing, they're beginning to coordinate with them. Elena nodded. Then we make them overconfident. Let them believe they control the battlefield. Let them chase shadows. Humans have always thrived against impossible odds. Tonight, the impossible becomes inevitable. The first battle took place near the ice planet Vera. Its frozen surface glimmered beneath a thin violet sun, and its orbit was littered with debris from long-forgotten mining colonies. Xylar dreadnoughts advanced, confident in their centuries of warfare. But the humans were ready. From hidden orbits, small human frigates darted between asteroid clusters, using gravity wells and electromagnetic fields to mask their movements. When the Xylar fired, they found nothing but frozen void. Then, almost at once, human missiles struck from unexpected angles, disabling shields and engines before retreating into the shadows. Keep moving. Elena's voice echoed through the bridge. They must not predict us. They must fear the unknown. The aliens were furious. Commander Talion of the Xylar flagship Crothel snarled at his officers. How can they move without detection? These humans, they are not like us. They do not follow the rules of war. Rules. The humans had no such constraints. They adapted in real time, combining old tactics with new inventions, improvising with deadly creativity. The Xylar, the Athari, even the telepathic Aelthari could not anticipate human unpredictability. Meanwhile, back at the Galactic Nexus, the Council watched in shock. Hollow streams of battle streamed across massive chambers. Ancient empires had never faced such cunning. Even the Grand Arbiter, that immovable presence, emitted low vibrations, an acknowledgement of surprise and, perhaps, fear. Aelthari delegate Niran spoke softly to his peers. They are remarkable. Their ships are crude, yes, but their minds? His skin shimmered like a storm. It is unlike anything we have ever seen. They plan 3 moves ahead, yet change course faster than we can react. In the midst of war, humans proved to be diplomats as well. They sent envoys to the smaller races of the galaxy, civilizations that had long been under the shadow of older empires. The humans offered protection, trade, and knowledge. In exchange, these fledgling worlds lent fleets, intelligence, and loyalty. Slowly, a coalition began to form, a web of trust and respect that the older races underestimated. Elena addressed her officers in private. The galaxy fears what it does not understand. They see our fleets, but they do not see our minds. They see our courage, but they do not understand our unity. That is our strength. Intelligence is our shield. Adaptability is our sword. And together, humanity will reshape this galaxy. The next skirmish was decisive. Near the gas giant Rylos, human ships employed a tactic never before seen. Feigned retreats that lured enemy fleets into ambushes, electronic interference that turned alien targeting systems against themselves, and boarding actions so precise that even Xylar admirals were captured without a single human casualty. One captured officer, trembling before Elena, asked, How are you humans so precise? So unstoppable? Elena leaned forward. Her eyes were calm but piercing. Because we do not see ourselves as limited. Because we adapt. Because we endure. Every obstacle teaches us. Every failure strengthens us. And every empire that underestimates humanity becomes history. By the time the skirmish ended, the human coalition had gained control of Rylos, a strategic jump point connecting dozens of star systems. The galaxy began to whisper, These humans, they are not like any of us. And the whispers reached even the oldest races, stirring something they had long buried, doubt. Perhaps, murmured the Grand Arbiter in its resonant liquid voice, the humans are more than a young race. Perhaps they are the unexpected apex. But the humans were not done. From their hidden labs and orbital shipyards, they began constructing a new class of vessels, faster, smarter, armed with weapons designed not to destroy blindly, but to strike precisely where it mattered most. Command hubs, shield generators, and communications arrays. They named the first vessel Vanguard, and it became a symbol. A warning. A promise. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. They thought humans were fragile, unpredictable, primitive. They thought humans would falter in the face of overwhelming odds. They were wrong. Humanity had entered the arena of galactic politics, and they were no longer participants. They were architects of the battlefield. And every empire that had ignored their rise would soon pay for the arrogance of underestimation. In the observation deck of Resolute, Elena looked at the stars once more. Each one was a challenge, a question, a possibility. And for the first time she allowed herself a small smile. The galaxy thinks it controls the future. Let it. We will rewrite it. The galaxy trembled quietly, not from fear of humans, yet, but from confusion. Entire fleets vanished without a trace. Trade routes once secure now bled under invisible attacks. Ancient empires argued and blamed each other, but the truth was simple. Humanity was changing the rules of engagement, and no one could anticipate their moves. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge of the Resolute, staring at the hollow map of the Andron cluster. The region was strategically vital, a network of wormholes connecting dozens of systems. Control here meant dominance over supply lines, communication, and trade. And yet, this was not just a military operation. It was a test of perception. Scanners show 3 Xylar fleets entering the outer rim, reported Lieutenant Raj Malik. They're expecting a direct assault. Elena smiled faintly. Then we give them what they expect, and then something else entirely. The humans did not attack head-on. Instead, they spread rumors, intercepted communications, and allowed controlled leaks of fleet positions. Entire Xylar admirals were misled, chasing decoy signals into asteroid belts, where human ships struck from unexpected angles. The precision was surgical. The Xylar, whose pride relied on centuries of protocol and predictability, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. In one daring raid, the humans deployed a stealth squadron of modified frigates, invisible to conventional sensors, to disable a massive Xylar communications array orbiting the planet Solira. From orbit, the planet shimmered like molten gold under its twin suns. Boarding teams struck with precision, capturing critical technology. The Xylar lost the ability to coordinate for days, time during which humans gained the upper hand. The Council watched helplessly. The Athari convened emergency sessions. They anticipate everything, hissed an Athari commander, its crystalline wings folding with tension. They turn our own tactics against us. Even within the human coalition, there were murmurs of awe. Admiral Tanaka, overseeing the defense of newly allied systems, admitted privately, "We are witnessing a new kind of warfare. Not based on size, not on technology alone, but on thinking faster, adapting faster. Humans do not just fight, they rewrite conflict." Meanwhile, the humans were not only redefining warfare, they were reshaping diplomacy. Small races, long oppressed by the ancient empires, began pledging allegiance to humanity. From the crusted deserts of Kartol to the gas oceans of Vathar, worlds that had been silent for centuries now sent fleets, intelligence, and resources. They whispered of hope, courage, and the one race that dared challenge the status quo, humans. It was during a council session that the first shockwave hit. Holographic messages arrived from the Andron cluster, displaying the devastation of Xylar and Athari fleets, and the strategic brilliance of the human assault. The chamber fell silent. Even the Grand Arbiter, ancient beyond imagining, emitted vibrations of pause. An elder of the Xylar hissed, "This cannot be. They are too small. Too few. They cannot." Elena's voice cut across the council's comm feed, calm but unstoppable. "We are not just a young race. We are the product of survival against impossible odds. We do not rely on numbers alone. We do not rely on age or tradition. We rely on thinking, on adapting, on enduring. The galaxy may have underestimated us. That was your first mistake. It will be your last." The words echoed across trillions of kilometers, leaving silence in their wake. But humans did not stop at words. They revealed a plan no one saw coming. Using captured Xylar jump technology, they created a network of mobile bases across contested regions. These bases could appear anywhere in the galaxy, striking before fleets could respond. Entire campaigns were over before the empires realized they had begun. Shocking twists emerged. The humans began turning alien technology into human innovations. Energy weapons, previously unstable, were redesigned for precision and efficiency. Shields that had repelled fleets now faltered under human ingenuity. AI navigation systems learned and adapted from enemy patterns, predicting movements in seconds. The galaxy watched, horrified, as what was once thought invincible fell to small human fleets. Even the Grand Arbiter, that incomprehensible being of liquid glass and infinite memory, addressed the Council in a tone rarely heard: "Humans are anomalies. Their minds do not follow predictable patterns. Their courage is boundless. Their strategy surpasses understanding. They may yet become the apex of this galaxy." The Council erupted in panic. Secret meetings were called. Alliances fractured. Even the oldest empires began plotting against each other, fearing the humans more than they feared war itself. Amid this chaos, Elena convened her officers. "They fear us because they cannot control us. They cannot predict us. And that fear will work in our favor. But we must remain vigilant. Victory is not taken by strength alone. It is taken by foresight, courage, and the unity of our people. One mistake and centuries of progress could vanish." In the void beyond the Andron cluster, human ships moved like shadows. Fast, unpredictable, and coordinated with precision that defied imagination. For every fleet the Xylar and Authari deployed, humans had already countered in ways they could not comprehend. Entire strategies collapsed under human ingenuity. And yet, it was not cruelty that guided them, it was purpose. Every strike, every maneuver, every captured system was a statement. Humans were not a race to be ignored. By the end of the campaign, the Andron cluster was under human influence. The galaxy's oldest races were forced to acknowledge a truth they had resisted for centuries. Humanity was no longer just another participant in the galactic hierarchy. They were a force of nature, unpredictable, relentless, and brilliant. In the aftermath, as the Council convened once more, a simple message from Elena arrived. Humanity will not destroy what we inherit. We will not oppress what we conquer. But we will never be underestimated again. Remember that when you speak of us. Remember that when you make your decisions. Humanity is here, not as a follower, not as a novice, but as a guardian of what is right, and as a challenger to what is complacent. We are not your rivals. We are the future. The chamber fell silent. Even the oldest delegates, steeped in centuries of arrogance, felt the weight of truth. And somewhere, in the shadows of space, fleets of humans prepared for what no one in the galaxy could yet imagine. The ultimate test of survival, strategy, and supremacy. Because humanity had proven one thing: the galaxy had underestimated them. And that mistake would echo through the stars for generations. The Andron cluster was only the beginning. The galaxy, once complacent in its hierarchies, now trembled at the name of humanity. Messages of human victories echoed across systems, carried by fear, awe, and disbelief. Entire fleets of the Xylar, Authari, and Aelthari were reorganizing, desperate to reclaim lost ground. Yet humans were always one step ahead. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the swirling gas clouds of the Carrion Nebula through the reinforced observation deck. This was not just a war. It was a crucible, a test of humanity's endurance, intelligence, and cunning. Enemy fleets approaching, Lieutenant Raj Malik reported, his fingers flying over the console. 3 Xylar dreadnoughts, 5 Authari cruisers, plus unknown reinforcements from the Aelthari. Elena's eyes narrowed. They think overwhelming force will crush us. Let them believe that. We will teach them the price of underestimation. The humans had learned that brute force was predictable. Instead, they relied on deception, misdirection, and technology adapted from every race they had encountered. Stealth frigates danced through asteroid belts, drawing enemy fire. Holographic decoys simulated entire armadas, scattering alien sensors. And human AI, learning faster than any known system, predicted the enemy's responses before the aliens even realized their plans were failing. The first strike was sudden. As the Xylar flagship Crothel emerged from hyperspace, expecting a clear path, a swarm of human interceptors appeared from the shadows of nearby moons. Their weapons struck weak points, and before the flagship could respond, Crothel was disabled. The Authari cruisers attempting to rescue the Xylar vessel were ensnared in electromagnetic traps, their systems fried. Commander Talion, furious, bellowed over the comm, "Impossible. These humans, how do they know our every move?" Elena's response was calm, almost serene. "Because we anticipate, we adapt, and we endure. You fight with history, we fight with intelligence. Every battle teaches us. Every enemy mistake becomes our weapon." The council convened in emergency. Never before had human strategy been so feared. Even the Grand Arbiter's presence pulsed uneasily. These humans, they are no longer a young race, it said, its voice like 1,000 chimes vibrating in unison. They are anomalies. They think in patterns we cannot comprehend. Yet the humans were not invincible. The Eltheri, masters of telepathic warfare, unleashed a psychic strike on one of the human fleets. Sailors screamed as their neural systems were probed, memories invaded. But humans adapted. Helmets filtered psychic waves. Neural shields were improvised mid-battle. Instead of faltering, humans used the psychic attack to feed false signals to the enemy, turning their own mental assault into a trap. Entire Eltheri squadrons were lured into ambushes and captured. This battle marked the first time the galaxy realized humans were more than survivors, they were apex predators of strategy. Amid this chaos, humanity's diplomatic corps moved with equal precision. Smaller systems, once preyed upon by empires, pledged allegiance to humanity. These alliances brought more fleets, more intelligence, and new technologies. The galaxy's perception shifted. Humans were not merely fighters, they were leaders uniting what no other race could. But the greatest shock came from within. One of the oldest empires, the Zerani, long considered neutral, betrayed the humans, offering their secret warp paths to the Authari in exchange for promises of immunity. Elena, aware of this through intelligence networks, acted swiftly. Using captured Zerani vessels, she staged a counter-ambush, disabling the Zerani fleet and leaving the Authari scrambling. During a tense confrontation in the council, Elena confronted the Zerani ambassador directly. "You chose betrayal," she said, voice calm but sharp. "You assumed we would falter. You assumed we would forgive. History will remember you not as clever but as short-sighted. Humanity survives. Humanity adapts. And humanity always wins." The ambassador's wings trembled, and for a brief moment, the arrogance that had survived for centuries faltered. In the void beyond Carrion Nebula, the decisive battle began. Human fleets, smaller yet faster and smarter, maneuvered around enemy dreadnoughts. Electronic warfare disabled alien shields, while boarding teams targeted command hubs. Missiles moved like guided streaks of light, striking key systems before the enemy could react. The aliens, expecting traditional battle lines, were shattered. Xylar dreadnoughts collided accidentally as their fleets panicked. Authari cruisers self-destructed under miscalculated maneuvers. Entire sectors fell within hours. In the aftermath, the galaxy's news feeds carried a simple, chilling broadcast from Elena Vargas. "Humanity does not seek war. We do not seek conquest. But we will not be underestimated. We survive. We adapt. We endure. The galaxy will learn this truth whether it wants to or not." Even the Grand Arbiter's pulsing form seemed to acknowledge the message. Humans, they are a force beyond prediction. The galaxy must take heed. By the time the council reconvened, humanity had shifted from underdogs to a new center of power. No empire dared move without calculating the human factor. No fleet advanced without anticipating human strategy. No race could claim superiority. And yet, Elena knew the war was not over. The galaxy would regroup, new alliances would form, and greater threats lurked beyond the visible stars. But humanity had proven something undeniable. Their intelligence, adaptability, and courage had elevated them beyond expectation. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not underestimate them again. Elena gazed out from the bridge of the Resolute, stars stretching into infinity. She could see worlds waiting, systems yearning for leadership, and enemies plotting. She allowed herself a quiet thought, a simple truth. Humanity is no longer young. Humanity is not small. Humanity is unstoppable. The stars waited. And humanity was ready. The galaxy was no longer the same. The echoes of human victories across the Andron Cluster and Carrion Nebula had spread faster than any fleet could chase. Empires that had ruled for millennia trembled in their citadels, calculating, panicking, trying desperately to understand the anomaly they had ignored: humans. On the bridge of the Resolute, Captain Elena Vargas stared at the galactic map. Lines of hyperspace traffic were redrawn in her mind. Every fleet, every jump point, every vulnerable system had been noted. This was no longer just defense. This was orchestration. Humanity was about to claim its place, not by conquest but by intelligence, strategy, and foresight. "Scanners report a massive fleet assembly near the SHRWN expanse," Lieutenant Raj Malik said. His fingers danced across the console. "Xylar, Authari Eltheri, and possibly the Zerani. They've coordinated a strike. They believe overwhelming numbers will break us." Elena nodded. Let them believe that. We will give them the illusion of choice. Humans thrive in shadows, in deception, in unpredictability. Today the galaxy will see why it underestimated us. The humans deployed a two-pronged strategy. One fleet, smaller but faster, engaged the enemy head-on, drawing attention and fire. The main fleet, hidden in the nearby gravimetric anomalies of the SHRNN expanse, maneuvered silently, preparing to strike at the enemy's heart. As the battle commenced, the human decoy fleet feigned disarray, seeming chaotic under enemy bombardment. Alien admirals, seeing the apparent disorder, ordered aggressive attacks, thinking victory was within reach. That was the moment Elena had predicted. From the gravimetric shadows, the Vanguard-class ships emerged, striking the enemy fleet at its command centers. Missiles and energy beams tore through communication hubs, leaving alien squadrons blind and uncoordinated. Xylar dreadnoughts collided in confusion. Athari cruisers, once proud and precise, were now vulnerable, drifting helplessly as human boarding teams seized control. In the midst of the chaos, an unexpected twist unfolded. The Zerani fleet, attempting to betray the humans again, found themselves ambushed. Using captured Zerani technology, humans predicted their warp jumps, cutting off escape routes and capturing half the fleet with minimal losses. In the council, news arrived as hollow streams of battle unfolded. Silence fell over the chamber. Ancient races, accustomed to centuries of dominance, stared at human tactics in disbelief. The Aeltheri, once proud masters of telepathic warfare, realized that humans had learned to turn psychic assaults into a weapon, feeding false signals and causing the Aeltheri to attack each other. The Grand Arbiter's form pulsed with intensity, vibrations echoing through the chamber. The humans, they are no longer to be regarded as a young race. They are apex. Their minds anticipate, adapt, and endure beyond any known measure. Meanwhile, human diplomats were working just as fiercely as their fleets. Worlds once subjugated by ancient empires were declaring allegiance. The human coalition now stretched across hundreds of systems, creating a network of intelligence, supplies, and strategic bases that no other race could match. Every new alliance strengthened humanity's ability to strike, defend, and reshape galactic politics. In a private briefing, Elena addressed her officers and diplomats alike. This is not about destruction. It is about survival, intelligence, and foresight. We are not here to conquer without purpose. Every fleet, every alliance, every system we protect is a testament to humanity's ability to endure and lead. The galaxy assumed we were weak. We will prove they were wrong decisively. The climax of the SHRYN expanse battle approached. Human ships moved in perfect synchrony, combining electronic warfare, targeted strikes, and decoy operations. Entire alien fleets were paralyzed in seconds, unable to communicate, unable to coordinate, and unable to recover. By the time the enemy realized the depth of human planning, it was too late. Key systems were captured, enemy ships surrendered, and countless fleets were destroyed or neutralized. On the observation deck of the Resolute, Elena watched the galaxy shift. They underestimated us because they never faced a species that thinks, adapts, and endures like humans, she said softly. Every empire that doubted us will remember this day. Every system that feared humans will now trust us. Even the oldest races began to speak differently. The Xylar, once arrogant, now treated humans with cautious respect. The Athari, whose crystal-armored ships had always been symbols of dominance, began sending envoys for negotiation rather than war. The Aeltheri, masters of psychic manipulation, recognized humans as a force beyond their comprehension. But the greatest recognition came from the Grand Arbiter itself. Its form, usually calm and unreadable, shifted in subtle undulations. Humanity has become the measure, the standard by which all other races will be judged. They endure, they adapt, and they rise above expectation. They are extraordinary. As the battle ended, human fleets regrouped. Systems were stabilized. Alliances strengthened. And through the quiet of space, Elena allowed herself a rare smile. Humanity had not only survived, it had risen. The galaxy would never underestimate humans again. And yet, the future was still unwritten. More threats lurked in the darkness. More empires would test humanity. But one truth was clear: humans had become the apex species of the galaxy, not through size, not through numbers, but through intelligence, unity, and an unyielding will to endure. Elena looked out at the stars, countless worlds shimmering in the void. The galaxy believed in limits. We have none. The universe assumed we were small. We are infinite. The future belongs to humanity. The stars waited. Humanity was ready. And the galaxy would never forget the rise of a species that refused to be underestimated. The galaxy was awake. For the first time in millennia, no empire, no council, no fleet could claim certainty. Humanity had rewritten the rules. They had endured when others would have fallen. They had adapted when others relied on tradition. They had outsmarted empires that had existed longer than most stars had burned. Yet even humans knew the greatest challenge was still ahead. A coalition of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful races, Xylar, Authari, Aelthari, and Zerani, was forming, a final gambit to crush humanity before their influence spread beyond control. Hundreds of fleets amassed in the void of Serrath, a starless region where hyperspace anomalies twisted movement, and the enemy hoped that their numbers would overwhelm human ingenuity. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the bridge of the Resolute, gazing at the maps projected across the hollow table. The enemy's position was formidable. They believe they can crush us with force, she said. Let them believe it. Humans do not fight like anyone else. We think differently. We adapt differently. And we endure differently. That is our edge. Admiral Tanaka, veteran of countless engagements, nodded. We will need every system in our coalition. Every fleet, every planet, every weapon we have. Elena's eyes narrowed. And we will have it. But this battle will not just test our ships. It will test the galaxy's understanding of humanity. The humans began with deception. False signals, decoy fleets, and manipulated hyperspace jumps convinced the coalition that the human forces were scattered and disorganized. Alien admirals, confident in their superior numbers, advanced recklessly into the traps laid across the Serrath void. Then, from hidden vantage points, humans struck. Vanguard-class ships darted through gravitational anomalies, targeting command hubs, warp drives, and communication arrays. Entire alien formations were paralyzed before they realized the attack had begun. Xylar dreadnoughts collided, Authari cruisers self-destructed under miscalculated maneuvers, and the Aelthari found their telepathic coordination sabotaged by human counter-psychic algorithms. Commander Talion, commanding a Xylar fleet, shouted in disbelief. Impossible. How can one species predict every maneuver, every outcome? Elena's voice came through comms, calm and unwavering. Because humans do not see limits where others do. We adapt. We endure. And we learn faster than any empire in this galaxy. You assumed centuries of dominance would protect you. You assumed tradition was enough. You were wrong. But strategy alone was not enough. Humanity's engineers had developed the Sentinel Array, a network of orbital defense stations that could fire energy beams across hundreds of kilometers, synchronize fleet movements, and deploy autonomous drones faster than the enemy could react. Entire fleets were neutralized before they could even engage. Meanwhile, diplomats worked on another front. Worlds that had once feared alien oppression now pledged full support to humanity. Systems once subjugated or ignored became hubs of intelligence, supply, and counterintelligence. The galaxy's older empires realized that no victory over humans would be permanent, because humanity was no longer just a fleet or a military, it was a network, a civilization capable of instant adaptation and unified action. The final confrontation in the Serrath void was breathtaking. Human ships moved like shadows through the starless void, invisible to sensors. The enemy coalition, confident and overextended, was caught in a deadly trap. Every strike, every ambush, every maneuver was anticipated, countered, and exploited. Hundreds of alien vessels were destroyed, captured, or stranded in hyperspace anomalies. Entire admirals were taken prisoner, their commands shattered. In the aftermath, Elena broadcast a message across the galaxy. Humans were underestimated. They were considered weak, small, inefficient. That assumption has cost empires entire fleets, countless lives, and the illusion of control. Humanity survives. Humanity adapts. Humanity endures. And humanity will lead, not through oppression but through example, through intelligence, through unity. The galaxy must remember this day, and the future will never forget who we are. Even the Grand Arbiter, ancient and infinite, emitted vibrations of recognition. Humans, they have transcended expectation. They are not a young race. They are the measure of all others. They endure, adapt, and rise beyond comprehension. They are apex. In private, Elena addressed her closest officers. This is more than a victory. This is a declaration. Humanity is not to be underestimated. Every empire, every fleet, every civilization will now calculate against us. That is power. But with power comes responsibility. We are not conquerors. We are guardians. And our responsibility is to the galaxy, to the future, and to ourselves. From the observation deck of the Resolute, Elena looked out at the stars. Hundreds of systems, countless lives, and endless possibilities stretched into infinity. Humanity had survived the crucible of the galaxy, fought against impossible odds, and emerged as an apex species. And yet, even in victory, Elena knew that vigilance was essential. Threats would always exist. Enemies would regroup. New challenges would arise. But the galaxy now understood one undeniable truth. Humans were not just survivors. Humans were leaders, strategists, and guardians capable of feats no other race could match. She allowed herself a moment of quiet reflection, watching the stars shimmer in the void. The galaxy assumed limits, she whispered. Humanity has none. They assumed weakness. We are unstoppable. They assumed predictability. We are infinite. The galaxy waited. And humanity was ready. Because this was not the end. This was the moment humanity became legend. The apex species whose intelligence, courage, and unity would shape the destiny of the stars. The galaxy had never been so quiet. Even the stars seemed to hold their breath as humanity prepared for its final declaration. Systems once ruled by ancient empires now thrived under human guidance or alliance. Fleets of humans and allied species patrolled borders, protecting worlds that had long lived in fear. And at the center of it all, the human flagship Resolute drifted through orbit around the Council's Nexus station, a beacon of unity and strategy. Captain Elena Vargas stood on the observation deck, her hands resting lightly on the railing. Countless worlds, countless lives, all depended on what humans had become. She was no longer just a leader of ships or fleets. She was a symbol of a species that had endured everything the galaxy could throw at them and emerged undefeated. "Reports, Lieutenant Malik," she said. "Enemy remnants are scattered," he replied, his voice calm but reverent. "The Xylar, Athari, and Aeltheri fleets are either neutralized, retreating, or negotiating. The galaxy, the Council itself is waiting for your address." Elena exhaled. Then it is time. The Galactic Council chambers were vast, filled with delegates from thousands of worlds. The oldest races, those who had ruled for millennia, sat in stunned silence. Ships and systems that had once dismissed humanity as insignificant now watched, riveted, as the humans approached the podium. Elena's voice carried across the chamber, clear, steady, and unwavering. "Delegates of the galaxy, empires, and civilizations, humanity entered your halls as a young, underestimated species. You saw only what you wanted, smallness, fragility, ignorance. But you were wrong. We survived your doubts, endured your attacks, and outthought your strategies. Humanity is no longer a student of the galaxy. Humanity is a participant, a guardian, and a force to be reckoned with." Murmurs rippled through the council. Even the Grand Arbiter, ancient beyond imagining, pulsed in acknowledgement. Its voice, incomprehensible yet resonant, filled the chamber. "Humans, your rise is extraordinary. Your intellect, adaptability, and courage surpass all known measures. You are apex. You are inevitable." Elena continued, eyes sweeping across the room. "We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest for its own sake. Humanity has learned that strength is intelligence, courage is strategy, and unity is power. Our fleets, our technology, and our alliances are tools of survival and protection. But more than that, they are proof that a species underestimated can rise to the challenge and shape the future." A Xylar delegate, trembling with equal parts awe and fear, finally spoke. How did a species so small become so unstoppable?" Elena's eyes were calm but piercing. "We do not see limits where others see barriers. We do not fear adversity, we embrace it. We learn faster, adapt faster, endure longer. And when the galaxy assumes we will fail, we do not fail. We rise." The chamber fell silent. Silence deeper than any had felt before. Delegates, ambassadors, and observers realized humanity was not just another power. They were a force beyond prediction, a species that had rewritten what was possible in the galaxy. In the outer corridors of the Council station, fleets of humans and allies prepared for ceremonial patrols. Systems that had been on the brink of chaos now celebrated their newfound stability. Planets once under oppressive regimes now had representation in governance and trade. Humanity had not conquered through fear, they had led through intelligence, courage, and unity. On the bridge of the Resolute, Elena and her officers watched the galaxy respond. Signals of peace, gratitude, and tentative alliances streamed in from worlds near and far. Humanity's influence was undeniable, but the greatest victory was invisible. trust. The galaxy now believed that humans could protect it, lead it, and endure alongside it. Admiral Tanaka, standing beside Elena, smiled faintly. The galaxy won't forget this day. Not ever. Elena nodded. No, they won't. But remember, this is only the beginning. We've survived impossible odds, outsmarted empires, and claimed our place among the stars. But the universe is infinite, and so are the challenges ahead. Humanity will endure them as we always have. As the council reconvened in unity, Elena gave her final address. Let this day mark the rise of a new era. Humanity will lead, not with fear, not with oppression, but with intelligence, courage, and adaptability. We will defend, guide, and inspire. The galaxy will no longer underestimate us. And to those who thought we were small, fragile, or limited, remember this: we are human. And we are infinite. Outside, across the void, human ships and allied fleets moved in synchronized patrols, lights glinting like stars themselves. Systems once torn by war were stabilizing under human guidance. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humanity was not only a survivor, humanity was the apex species. In the quiet of the observation deck, Elena allowed herself a rare moment of reflection. The galaxy stretched infinitely, filled with possibilities, dangers, and challenges yet to come. Humanity had proven it could rise above doubt, fear, and adversity. It had adapted, endured, and surpassed the greatest civilizations in history. And somewhere in the silent expanse of space, the oldest empires acknowledged the truth. Humans were extraordinary. Humans were unstoppable. Humans were supreme. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter that day, as if acknowledging the rise of a species that had refused to be underestimated. Humanity had entered the Galactic Council, survived every challenge, outsmarted every enemy, and emerged as the beacon of intelligence, courage, and unity. And the galaxy would never, ever forget it.